Hello everybody, it's day 17 and 18 of the Art by Marlene Advent Calendar. So this is the stencil for day 17. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, I don't find stencils like this one particularly easy to create with. It's kind of because it's telling me the story that it wants to be rather than letting me play with that in my own way. So obviously the stencil has a sea theme, so that's why I started off with the blues and the oceany colours that I've got here in Marlene's paints. I haven't gessoed the tag again, it's ungessoed, so I'm just going in with my first layer of paint to get some colour on there. And then I'm going to start adding some more details. So because I've got that first layer of paint that's dry, it kind of acts like a gesso, which means I can then do this reductive stenciling technique. So I was starting to think, yeah, I really like this one. This is looking good. I like how these are looking a bit like bubbles. So yeah, that's okay. Then I kind of did get to a point where I was like not really sure where to go with this next, and kind of where I thought I was going wasn't where it ended up finishing off. So building up more layers of interest on the tag, again just going in with a bit more reductive stenciling, using a different blue, overlapping with the bits that I've already done, and then going in and adding some stenciling through on the top as well. So quite a busy background, definitely still water themed in effect, I guess. And then I started to think about how I was going to use this stencil. So I'm going to grab some white card eventually and draw some of the elements onto there, but also going to draw straight through the stencil onto the tag as well. So this is where I started thinking, oh, okay, I could draw some of the seaweed on. And then I thought, no, it's going to be a nightmare to cut out. Let's just draw it straight onto the page. With hindsight, it probably would have worked better with paint. But, you know, this was what I did at the time. This was how I decided to use the stencil. And like I say, I think this one for me was a little bit of a challenge, and I think of all the tags that I've created this month, this is probably my least favourite so far. But still sharing it with you, excuse me, because I think it's important that, you know, you see that not everything I create I love. That's not the case. I create things all the time that I think, not so happy with that, or I don't really like where that ended up. And that's reality. That is how it actually is. So to kind of show you anything else wouldn't be being truthful. So I'm not saying I hated this tag that I created, but I found it really difficult. I like being able to use my own creative imagination to think of ways to use stencils and images rather than being kind of led down that path. So not that I'm criticising, it's just not for me, that's all. So continuing to build up this kind of seaweed at the bottom of my tag using different greens. These are the duo acrylic markers from Marlene as well, and just adding that interest at the bottom. And it's, you know, it's starting to look all right. Then I thought I would make some little clownfish to go onto my page. So I'm going in with black and orange and creating these little fish, which I'm then going to cut out. That proved to be really fiddly. But yeah, you know, it worked okay. I did have to find a reference picture of a clownfish just to make sure that I was not completely off the mark. So I've added the paint pens through the stencil. I'm then going to outline through there as well, just so I can get that basic shape sorted. This is the bit where when you've drawn through the stencil you can kind of start to pull it all together, and adding some of those marks in. Once I move the stencil I can then add a few more and just join some of those lines up together so that they make sense. So those little fish are quite tiny, and I also was going to use that dolphin but kind of felt it was a little bit small for the tag space that I was going to work on. So I think although I did initially stick the dolphin on my page, I end up covering it over with something else, but I think I've left that on for you to see. So I think what I would say to take from this is that things can evolve and change as you're working, and don't be afraid to go, don't like this, I'm going to do something else. I decided I would pop a jellyfish on there. Of course, we've all seen rainbow jellyfish, so that's what I'm going to do. We know these things exist, they must do. So I'm popping a rainbow jellyfish onto my tag as well. Once I'm happy with all the colours that I've popped on, I'm then using my gel pen again just to add some outlines to help make that image make sense and join those marks up together. So it was about now where I was starting to think, you know, this is okay, but I just don't feel there's enough going on. Started thinking about how I could make this page, this journal tag, work for me a bit better. Honestly, waffling. So a paper element from Marlene's book and a couple of starfish, and that kind of worked as a bit more of a focal point, I felt. Some white splatters. I had a bit of white paint left, so I'm just going in with a few white splatters, and then a quote. So yeah, not probably one of the happiest things that I've been happiest with during this month's projects, but you know, it's all right, it's okay. And here is a still of the tag and how it finished up looking. I think now looking back, some of that seaweed at the bottom needed outlining. That might have helped it pop out a bit more. Anywho, on to day 18. Some quotes for day 18, again on different coloured paper. I immediately saw the one that said Happy Christmas, so thought I was going to use that to do like a real Christmassy themed tag. So I've grabbed a piece of Marlene's collage paper, and I'm going to cut a Christmas tree shape out of this, folding it in half. That means I can get a nice symmetrical image, and I'm just going in with this sort of simple shape where it gradually gets smaller and smaller towards the top, and then got a nice pointy tree. That's going to stick on to there. So then I'm going in with a sort of purpley colour on the background just to add a bit of interest there before I stick this down. So I'm not trying to paint around it because that is just going to make life really difficult. So just adding some colour. And then grabbing one of the previous stencils, I'm going to add another pink through this. So this is my favourite stencil so far. I'm adding a bit of a sort of silvery grey, lilac-y colour through this as well, just to break up that bold background. And then I'm going to start thinking about putting the tree in place. So using some of Marlene's sticky glue to stick this down. Obviously, if you don't have the collage papers, you can paint your own paper green and cut out your tree. You could gel print as well. There are so many ways you can create these kind of background colours if you want them nice and easy. I'm outlining the tree using my black gel pen. This is a really thin, I think it's a Pilot one. And then I'm going to look through the die cut, Golden Oldie die cut book, just to look for things that would work as decorations on my tree. So I've grabbed a star, I'm grabbing little circles with hearts on to pop on the end of the little branches of the tree. Just starting to add some decorations onto there to make it look more Christmassy. So next I'm grabbing the silver stencil paste, and I'm just going to use that through some of the stars on this stencil, just to add some more stars to my tree, to a bit more interest. Using the spatula that Marlene released recently as well, through the stencil means you can get a really nice application of stencil paste, through the stencil shapes as well. I think that kind of just starts to bring this little tree to life, just having those little stars on there too. Then again, I'm just going to use the paint tubes just to paint with, adding some neon splashes of colour, meant to be like the little lights on the tree. And I think I use a few of the neon colours for this. So like this is the yellow one, and then the orange, and I think I also use the pink as well. Might have done that one already. And it's starting to kind of bring that tree to life a little bit more. So obviously when you're using the paint like that, it does take a little bit longer to dry. And then of course I'm going to grab the quote that says Merry Christmas. I'm going to stick that on my page, and it's done. Day 17 and 18 complete. So come back the day after tomorrow to see the next 2 days. Thanks for watching.